title, that's my official title, my role, but I work primarily with your group. I'm blessed and honored and privileged to work with the biggest freshman class we've ever had in the history of Chiawana. 850 of you, and there's probably going to be about 300 or 400 here today to get information about your 10th grade registration. I'm going to introduce real quick the counselors. I just did want to say to you, keep up the good work. We've got about 4 more weeks of the trimester until the second trimester ends. So everyone should hopefully have about 5 credits by the time second trimester is done. All right, so keep working on the classes, tutoring, hawk time, whatever it takes. As you have questions, let us know. And then this information, pay close attention today, because this information is going to be critically important for your 10th grade classes and getting registered and enrolled for 10th grade classes for next year. One final thing just to leave you with before I introduce the counselors and your team is graduation is not that far away. You're already 2/3 of the way, just about completed, 2/3 of the way done with your freshman year. Okay, so just real quickly, just high five to your neighbor, high five, or a loving, gentle pat on the back. Congratulations, neighbor, congratulations on finishing 2/3, okay, of your freshman year. And graduation is June 10th, Saturday, June 10th, 6 p.m. Yeah, I got it on my calendar, I hope you have it on yours calendar. 2023, so it's less than 3.5 years away, 3 years and 4 months. June 10th is gonna be the biggest, coolest, best graduation in the history of Chiawana. I'm excited for it. I hope you are. But everything you're doing, day by day, work, getting enrolled in classes, asking questions, working on your grades, that's going to lead you to a momentous, glorious, wonderful, enjoyable graduation date less than 3.5 years from now. Okay, I introduced myself, Ms. Gutierrez. I'm going to turn the mic over to her in just a moment. Everyone say hello to Ms. Gutierrez. Wave. Ms. Gutierrez is your counselor. Almost everyone in here has her as a counselor. Or you might have Mr. Tim Haugen, and I think Mr. Haugen is in the back here, who was handing out the info sheets. Wave hello to Mr. Haugen, he's your counselor for many of you. Mr. Barrera, a lot of you know him, but he might not be your counselor because he has students with last names M through Z. So any colleagues or friends that you have whose last names start with M through Z and they are freshmen, they need to come tomorrow during hawk time. They're going to get the same information tomorrow during hawk time. And then Mr. Farias, I think everyone knows and loves Mr. Farias. Hola, Senor Farias. Hello, Mr. Farias. Good morning. And Mrs. Paz, I think is outside. She was handing out papers and information sheets outside. So Mrs. Paz is our secretary. And then most of you know Mr. Ethan Johnson is our security guard. He's in the hallway as well. So that's your team. We are proud and honored to work with you. Thank you for being here this morning. Ms. Gutierrez, am I turning this over? Turn the mic to you. Let's give your counselor and who's going to present to you, give her a warm welcome. Applause, Mrs. Gutierrez.
Good morning, thank you very much. This is our first time we all get together. So, class of 2023, we will be here in 3.5 years. For now, we are going to go over graduation requirements. Registration, believe it or not, is starting in about 2 weeks. So the forms that we have given you, do not lose them. Take them home, go home, work with your parents, and make sure you figure out what classes you are wanting to register for 10th grade. We'll go really fast through what we need for you to have. Remember, how many credits do we have to have by the time we graduate? 24. And how many English credits do we need? Very first one, how many English credits? 4. So you need to be working on English. You have to have 4. How many math credits do we need? 3. Okay. So you've got to make sure you are passing your English and your math. We need a total of 3. Then, how many social studies credits do we need? 3 as well. How many of you took Northwest History in middle school? Raise your hand if you did. Okay. If you passed it, it counts, but it doesn't count as a credit. It meets a graduation requirement, but you still have to have 3 credits over at the high school. So, if you passed it, you're good to go to meet the Northwest History requirement, but you still need 3. If you have not passed Northwest History in middle school and you take it in high school, you will get a high school credit, and it will count as a 2.5, not 2.5 credit, which means you now only need 2.5 social studies credits. Then science. How many science credits do we need? 3. So if you're taking science in 9th, 10th, and you want to skip 11th, you're okay, but you'll have to take it senior year. I wouldn't advise you to do that because some colleges want you to have even 4 years of science. So make sure you're taking science every year until you meet your graduation requirements. Art. How many do we need? 2 art credits. I know some of you do not like art, but we have several classes that you could use. We also have some computer classes that you could use as art, so make sure you're reading the guidebook. Foreign language. Yes, you do need foreign language. You need 2 credits of foreign language. If you are going to a 4-year college, they want you to have 2 years of foreign language as well. But for graduation now, class of 2023 will need to have foreign language. PE. How many do we need? 1.5, and I know some of you do not like PE. If you take it all in 9th grade, then you would be done for the rest of your high school career. So make sure you are taking it and passing it. Remember, 59% gives you an F, and it equals to a 0 credit. 60% gives you a D and gives you a 0.5. So if you're barely doing it, but you pass it, great. You get the credit, so you make sure that you're doing that. You also need health, 0.5. You will start taking that usually in your junior year, so continue working hard at doing that. The occupational credit, which is part of the financial lid, which you take in the 11th grade, and an occupational credit. So I know a lot of you are taking foods. That is an occupational credit. So make sure you continue doing that. You need a full credit in the occupational area. And then a total of 4 electives. Anything above and beyond everything that we just talked about becomes an elective. So that is what you need to graduate. Again, how many credits do we need? 24. You need 24. So make sure you are on track. Okay, so not only do you need the 24 credits, but guess what? We will need to do a high school and beyond plan. What is high school and beyond? You are working on that during your advisory. Very important to be in that advisory group. That is part of your high school and beyond plan that you will need to have. You also need to be thinking about a personal pathway. You have to identify that personal pathway because that's going to help you to get through the 24 credits that we need for you to have at the end of the year. Any questions on credit graduation requirements? No? Okay. Mr. Barrera, did you want to come and talk? Mr. Howland, where is Mrs. Please gone too? Okay. Now, if you're going to the 4-year university, this is exactly what you need to have. English, they also want you to have 4 credits of English. That means you have to take it all 4 years of high school. Math, they want you to have 3 math credits. So that would be algebra, geometry, and algebra 3, 4. Some of them want you to have college credits. So if you take college in the high school, that's earning college credit as well. So that also helps as well. And not only algebra 3, 4, but continue going to pre-calculus. You will need that. That's very important. Lab science. Remember, you need 3 science credits. They have to have a lab. So like your biology and your earth, they all have. Chemistry has a lab. So think about any of those classes that have the lab science. You've got to take those. Foreign language as well. You need 2. And for high school, you also need 2. So everything you're taking in the high school is going to help you with your 4-year college entrance. So if you are planning to go to the university, that's going to be very helpful. And of course, they're wanting you to have not science, but math your senior year. even though we require 3. Four-year universities want to see you in a math class senior year. So don't give up after Algebra 3, 4. You will need to continue with pre-calculus senior year. And then of course applying in grades, all of that matters. So make sure you are maintaining a 2.5 or higher to be eligible for college entrance and scholarships. And you definitely have to apply and have to be accepted. Any questions on the 4-year? Okay, so when do we register? This is very important. We will start registering on February 24th through the 26th. We will be going to your math class. So you need to be in your math class starting on the 24th. Don't skip that period. Be there. Attendance is mandatory and you must bring your laptop along with your charger. Very important. It's got to be fully charged. On what day do we start registering? In what class? Very good. Okay, so I know some of you are not doing it. You're doing geometry at the moment. Because we don't have enough geometry classes, we will be sending you a postcard. When you get the postcard, it will have the time and date and the classroom you need to go to. So when you get that postcard, and if it says February 24th report to P6, tell your teacher you need to go to P6, show them the postcard, and we'll see you in P6. Okay, so geometry students, you will be getting a postcard from us telling you exactly where to go on the day of your registration date. Okay, so you need to be there. Then there's a couple of students, there's about 24 kids that are not in a math class for Tri 2. Same thing, you will be getting a postcard and we will be sending you the location and the time and the date for you to show up. So you have to do that, okay? So wait for that postcard to come. The registration form looks just like this. You have it. Make sure you work with your parents. Make sure you figure out what you are wanting to take for 10th grade. Get it in. And that is what we will be doing when we meet on the 24th. And this is the back side. And if you guys have any questions, instead of coming to the office, because there's going to be so many students that are wanting to ask questions, email us. A through L, that would be me, npgutierrez@psd1.org. So make sure you email me, and then we can try to go back and forth by our email. If you guys want to take a picture of that, go for it and do it right now. That way you know exactly what our email address is. M through Z from Mr. Barrera, F Barrera at PSD, and then A through L for those students that are, oops, I'm sorry, it should be A through Z for Mr. Howe, right over here. Make sure you email him as well. This is how we can stay in contact if you have any questions regarding registration or 10th grade, and if your parents want to get a hold of us as well. What is it, February 18th, we are having a parent night as well. Make sure you let your parents know so they can come out that evening. And we will be talking about high school and beyond, registration, all that good stuff. Any questions? Mr. Barrera? Yeah, Mr. Alvin.
Good morning, Riverhawks. So real quick, what I wanted to say is, when you're making your choices, think about it, make good choices, because we build the whole schedule for the whole year based on the choices you make. So I'm gonna let you know, next year, the flexibility of making those changes is gonna be reduced. So make sure that you're choosing those classes. Those are gonna be the classes you're gonna choose for the whole year for next year, right? So We do have some flexibility, but as we continue to go further in your career, we're not going to have that ability to make a lot of changes. So really think about it, the classes that you want to take, look at your plan for your 4 years for your graduation, and make those good choices.
Any questions? Okay, so remember, very important, you guys pick the classes, we don't. So when you fill that registration form, that is what you have selected, and that's what we will try to give you. But like Mr. Howden said, next year when you come and you go, I don't want that class. Well, you picked it. You picked it, you put it on your registration form, and now you have it. It's really hard for us to pull you out. Keep that in mind. Very important to know that you guys have first choice. We don't, you do. Pathways are very important. If you are not engaged in your advisory, guess what? You need to, because it's all part of your pathway. You have to be engaged. You have to go. Every time you hear the word advisory, you have to be there. Don't skip out. Graduation is going to be here before we know it. And in 2023, we will be having a meeting again. We'll be sitting here and saying, hey, are you ready to graduate? And some of you are going to say, well, I'm short. What can I do? Well, let's not wait until the last minute. Let's do it now so we don't have to wait. And remember, Mr. Kessler said, you are the largest 9th grade group. Let's keep it that way. 2023, go Riverhawks. Mr. Barrera.
What if I want to know about the class description? Where do I go?
If you want to know about the class description, go to our course guidebook. It is online. Everything is online. So we, the 9th grade team, sent you guys an email to your student email. How many of you opened it up?